Africa Today presents Diaspora Business Network, Friday, March 22nd from 6 to 9 p.m. Silver Spring Civic Building. Theme, African Diaspora, Business and Media. If you're an entrepreneur or have a nonprofit organization, this is the place you need to be. Silver Spring Civic Building, 1 Veteran Plaza, Silver Spring, Maryland, on March 22nd at 6 p.m. Get your free ticket today at event.africtoday.com. Africa Today, the best of digital TV.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I gotta say, this is great because I'm from Worcester, Massachusetts, right? And they call it the land of Ghana, okay? And we don't pull up like this, though. We don't pull up like this. You know, we go around talking about other people and business and all that stuff. This room is filled with people who want to do good for Africa. And so, I want to say thank you because I want to go back to Worcester, the land of Ghana, and be like, listen, be woke because this place is woke, really woke. So thank you guys, thank you. That's a good clap, yeah, exactly, yeah. Come on now. We got a network, you know? And so our next speaker, and I gotta say, I love everybody that's speaking tonight. Great background and everything like that. Her name is Dr. Val Okaru Bisant. Is an adjunct professor at the Catholic University of America and the Elliott School of International Affairs at the George Washington University, which are in D.C. Dr. Okaru Bisant is a law and society behavioral economics scholar. She's a global issues consultant and is also an editorial board member and a peer reviewer for the Journal of Environmental Economics. She ran numerous scholarly publications on global corporate governance, institutional performance, consumer engagement in water, and other international business entities. Dr. Okaru Bisant holds 4 degrees. Can I say it again? 4 degrees. That's good right there. Oh, Lord. She holds a Doctor of Science of Law from Stanford Law School and a Master's of International Relations from Tufts University and the Fletcher School of Law and Diplomacy, and a Master of Laws from the London School of Economics, and lastly, a Bachelor of Laws with honors from the University of Jones. She is licensed to practice in Connecticut and Nigeria, but most importantly, what she's not doing, she values family when she's not working. So please give it up to Dr. Valentina Okaru Bisant.
Thank you so much for that warm introduction. I'm actually humbled because to God be the glory, really. It's not by my power, it's the power of the Holy Spirit. So, yes, the subject of my what I'm going to do, I like to, my professorial skill always kicks in these forums, and I want to give you an overview of what I'll be covering, just 4 points, because first the topic is how to strengthen African digital media's economic viability, credibility, and democratization tools in delivering services in Africa. And I have only 25 minutes, so I'll take the first 10 to 15 minutes, and please give me a sign when I'm 10 minutes, because I want to devote the remaining 10 minutes to Q&A back and forth, because I'm going to be raising some questions. So first, I want to tell you the 4 points I'm going to be addressing within that framework of how to strengthen African media's economic viability, credibility, and democratization processes. I'll be looking first at statistics, just a brief statistics on the status in terms of demand for internet services, social media services in Africa. And then I'll be looking at the importance of developing economic viability within the framework of goals. Can you all hear me? Okay, good. Within the framework of established goals and mission and vision of a media company. And then thirdly, I'll be looking at the urgency for balancing the different influences in other words, funding sources that media companies get, and balancing that against their goals and missions and strategies. And within that, I'll be looking at mainstream media in the US. And then lastly, the fourth is I'll be looking at implications for African media companies, especially what I call the SMEs, the small medium enterprises, the small medium media enterprises, so to speak. And I'll be linking that to my conclusion, okay? So those four, hold me accountable if I don't cover them. But I'll be doing that really quickly because I tend to do like laundry lists. So if you have more information or more questions, you can come to me. But I want to make a disclaimer. I'm an attorney, but I'm not giving advice to anybody who has an SME media company. Secondly, I teach at Catholic University. I teach business law and corporations and other courses, but I'm not here representing their views. So it's my personal individual view based on my institutional memory and my personal experiences over time. So first on statistics, and let me also say that I've looked, and most of the statistics I'm going to be giving you and the information have been vetted and verified from different sources, okay, from Council of Foreign Relations and also from Quartz Africa and from different media sources, okay. So first on statistics, as of 2019, 213 million people of Africa's 1.2 billion use internet services, right? That might seem like a small figure, but that's quite a lot. That's like 18%. From my calculations, that's 18% increase, right, from previous years. So that's pretty good. And 191 million Africans use social media. So of that, in other words, of the 213 million people, right, that use internet, 191 million of them use it for social media. You know, WhatsApp. Who doesn't? You know, you all use WhatsApp. Oh yeah, we all use WhatsApp. Yeah, so you have WhatsApp, Facebook, all that. So that's quite good. Okay, the reason, of course, for the increase is internet usage. And then since 2017, and these are figures from Council of Foreign Relations, from Quartz Africa, and from really reliable sources, okay? So you also have a 20% increase, more than 73 million more people that use internet. So now we have 213 million as of 2019, but as of 2017, it increased by 20%. That's a fast rate of increase. That's awesome, right, for everybody, okay? And so now Mali increased in terms of usage by 6 times. 6 times, that's a lot. That's the country of Mali, right? And then Benin, Sierra Leone, Niger, and Mozambique more than doubled in terms of usage. Of course, Nigeria, South Africa, and Kenya are the ones that, you know, start the wave, especially South Africa. They started earlier. So in terms of, you know, the law of internet usage, that has been confirmed. Most of the people in Africa, more than half of people in those countries, Nigeria, South Africa, and Kenya, say that they actually can't do without internet. It's very necessary. They see it as more of an opportunity than a risk, okay? So given that background, how does that relate to the SMEs, the Small Medium Enterprise Africa digital media? This creates opportunity, even within the framework of the challenges of the political challenges that some African, I'm not going to call African countries in terms of, can I have my, the bottled water, please, that I had? I think it's up there. I'm not going to call names because I don't want this to be a political, but some of the countries have faced challenges in terms of shutdown of media services, suppression of freedom of expression within that rubric, or increasing taxes on Facebook and WhatsApp as a disincentive, thank you so much, for users. So that's happening. So I would call that a political challenge. And then there are infrastructural challenges too, for those, for the small medium enterprise African digital media to go in, because there's also the infrastructural in terms of not having reliable electricity and energy, okay? So moving beyond that, the next issue now, the importance of economic viability. I can't even begin to underline how important that is for survival of an SME, a small, medium African media enterprise that's trying to grow. It's very, very critical. Now, before going into that, I think the thing they really need to view, you have to ask the question, if I'm a media enterprise, a small, medium enterprise, what is the first thing that I need to do when I want to ensure long-term economic sustainability? The first thing you need to do, of course, is what? Establish what? Your goals, vision, and mission. And make sure it's within the framework of whatever funding you're seeking out there. Why do I say that? I say that because when we now look at examples of mainstream media within the US, let's take, for instance, I'm sure you all know, MSNBC, CNN, and Fox. Those are the three primary ones that we can say are successful, right? In terms of funding and all that. When you look at, the goals, because when you say what is funding, why do they need to get funding, and what are the sources? The sources are normally corporate funding in terms of investments and ownership. 2, within that framework, corporate sponsorships, and then you also have private individual funding, and then you also have wealthy people who just decide to set up their own media conglomerate or whatever, and then you also have government funding. So when we talk about the three main ones, where do you think they get their funding from? MSNBC, CNN, and Fox. Corporate, yes, there you go. Let me break it down. The MSNBC, we all, we love MS. What's that MS? Who can guess what MS is? Microsoft. People don't even know that. The founders of MSNBC were Microsoft, and the NBC is NBC subsidiary of General Electric. Yes, it's liberal, but it's also corporate. Okay? Now, CNN is Ted Turner, who founded it. Very wealthy man, who then sold it. And of course, MSNBC was founded in 1996, but see how very wealthy they are. They are billion. They're all wealthy, so that's not even the issue here. It's the influences I'm creeping into as I'm addressing this. CNN is Ted Turner, who founded it, right? Then sold it to, and he's wealthy, right? You all know. Who doesn't know Ted? Yeah. Sold it to Time Warner. So Time Warner owns CNN. That's the mega shareholder and investor and whatever owner. Fox, which everybody, well, some, not everybody, depending on what side of the aisle you're in, right? Fox, everybody knows, you know him, right? You know Rupert Murdoch, who is an Australian but naturalized US citizen and a Republican. So now you know the picture. So when you hear Bernie, sometimes he was talking with Rachel Maddow of MSNBC and talking about the influences of corporate. Why does CNN like Hillary? How about me? Why the same corporate people that are giving money to Hillary are also part of CNN, blah, blah, blah. Rachel is like, at the end of the interview, I hope I still keep my job. Remember that? If you Google it, you're going to see that. So now, given the exigencies of the challenges of funding media, now let's now bring it back to what the implications are. And looking first, as I said earlier, at the goal, establishing your goal up front and sticking with it. What should be the goal of media? The goal of media, as I think most objective people would want, and I think most consumers would want, is to provide, and that's the topic of the topic that we designed for this session, to provide credible and accurate information to the public and to promote accountability. In other words, an accountable and transparent system of what? Economic development, business development, political development, trade, whatever it is, but it has to be in an accountable, transparent way, delivering accurate information. If you're pursuing goal of an unbiased media, forget about it. I think it's very unrealistic because given the exigencies, even if one proposes, I mentioned that there were 3 ways in which funding, the media gets their funding: corporate, public, meaning everybody, and government. If you go corporate, the corporate influences. So the question becomes, how does the media strike balance between those influences and their goal? Because you know what, we all know the saying, you can't buy the hand that feeds you. So striking that balance and getting involved in your role in democratizing, because it's broadly speaking not just a political process but the economic process, delivering accurate is so critical, because in and of itself, expecting an unbiased media, bias is about favor. Media favors, but what we should seek and what media should deliver is accurate information, okay? And make sure that that information you're delivering, when you talk bias, maybe not biased by the people providing the money, not compromised. So how should the media do that? Seek funding, but at the same time, even if it's private funding, C-SPAN is privately funded. You know C-SPAN, anybody know? Maryland Public, I live in Maryland, MPT, PBS too. But guess what? Call in the morning on that C-SPAN, you will see people. Human beings also want to influence. Everybody who gives money wants power over that person they're giving money. I have heard them say, oh yeah, I'm going to shut you down. They have called C-SPAN to say, you're too liberal. And then the conservatives call in and say, how are you allowing only the Democrats to talk or to call in? You know, they have a call-in period in the mornings. Both sides, they're like, we're not going to give you any more money. So everybody who gives money to this so-called media, so the key, based on that, lastly, because I want to leave time for Q&A, is what are the implications of all this for an African media business, that's especially small medium, that has small economies of scale, trying to expand into large economies of scale. There are many opportunities based on the statistics I gave earlier, because Africa has 2-point-something billion, and we've only begun to sort of scrape at the tip of the iceberg. We haven't even gotten there yet. So there's a potential, there are opportunities for small, medium enterprises to capitalize. But the key is to focus on the established goals and mission, while at this, I see somebody saying, oh, how are they going to do that? While seeking sponsors, make sure that when they're seeking sponsors, they're zeroing in on vetting the sponsors, be it corporate and private, and making sure that those sponsors support their zeal to make sure they deliver in accordance with the established goals that I had mentioned earlier of what the goals should be, okay? Find your niche. If you're a medium, an African media enterprise, find your niche. And when I say niche, in terms of subject matter, where are the gaps globally right now? Where are the Africans seeking, insatiable demand for information? Where is it? Look at what just happened with the Boeing accident that occurred. AP, oh, you heard about that. What did they deliver? Are you blaming the Associated Press, which is made up of mostly mainstream and others, but mostly the Western nations? Is it really their fault that they zeroed in on those that died in Canada and the US, and they left out Kenya and Ethiopia? Where are their sponsors? And where are most of their, their viewers and consumers? From so-called countries where they mentioned, even though Kenya and Ethiopia had suffered more loss. So to what extent are you willing to support an African business enterprise that, of course, media, I call them business enterprise because the media is a business, really, even if it's a small one. So this calls upon Africans, if they want to get the African perspective, or even if it's Tucker Carlson, who made a reference to the Democratic Republican of Congo woman who climbed on 4th of July. Did you all see her? She climbed the Statue of Liberty. Did you see Tucker Carlson make a reference to her that she needs to go back, even if she's resident, go back to DRC where they're cannibalistic? There was no refuting of that. there needs to be a perspective, not that they're racist or anything, it's the perspective that's limited. But I think, as I said earlier, there are opportunities right now because of the hunger that Africans have and the high demand for using internet-based services in terms of media. And of course, the infrastructure is improving, so with time, that would happen. And also, in other words, capitalizing on increased cell phone and internet usage is very critical for the media, for the small, medium enterprise media services. I'm looking at Alan there because he's one of them. So I'm looking at you because that's what you're going to be capitalizing on. But first, developing that criteria for targeting financiers, corporate and private enterprises, so you make sure you target those that share your vision and goal and will allow you to have a laissez-faire approach as you deliver those services, okay? And I think I'm also very optimistic about what I mentioned earlier in terms of political resistance or challenges in some countries, because within that framework, the civil society has actually challenged in the courts some of the measures that have been taken by government to suppress ability of the citizens to use social media and those outlets. So I think 5 more minutes. So within, thank you. I love it. Yes. Great. So questions or comments? I see a lot of people shaking their heads. So I think you might have, some comments. I think in conclusion, I think I'm very optimistic about the future of African media, digital media, and the role they can play in filling those gaps that exist and in democratization processes in Africa. Of course, I may not be as optimistic in terms of funding, but I think that the opportunities arise for Africans to wake up. And I think it's not only emerging with Africans, there are cosmopolitans out there that are interested. Those who are pro-Africa can also jump in and support this process. I see you have a question. You're moving your mouth. You said.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Yeah, you.
What's the question?
No, I just appreciate your. Your speech was very nice.
Thank you.
Yeah. Also, well, especially I'm not in that area, so I don't have a lot of questions, but it was very instructive for me to learn how, the influence of media in the, nowadays in the society. So I don't have exactly a question, but you did good.
Thank you.
No problem.
Well, we have 2 questions here. Okay.
My name is question.
Africa Today presents Diaspora Business Network, Friday, March 22nd from 6 to 9 p.m. Silver Spring Civic Building. Theme: African Diaspora, Business and Media. If you're an entrepreneur or have a nonprofit organization, this is the place you need to be. Silver Spring Civic Building, 1 Veteran Plaza, Silver Spring, Maryland, on March 22nd at 6 p.m. Get your free ticket today at event.africtoday.com. Africa Today, the best of digital TV.